You think you control your cell phone? Or is he the one who controls you? Every scroll, every notification, every just another video is programmed to hold your mind and suck your energy. Today I'm going to show you how your smartphone habits reveal how much you've been tamed by the fatigue society and why that's exactly what the system wants. The truth is simple and brutal. You're not just tired, you're trained to live tired. Smartphone addiction, infinite scrolling, fear of missing out, all form an invisible leash around your attention. You think you're choosing, but the algorithm has already chosen for you before you even open the app. While you live with a tired mind, comparing your life with social networks, losing focus, checking your cell phone all the time, the system wins. Earn money, gain control, gain power. This video isn't about demonizing technology, it's about taking back control. You will understand how to use emotional coldness, strategic silence, and digital absence to get out of autopilot and stop being a puppet of the burnout society. 1. Digital collar. You didn't notice the exact moment when the cell phone stopped being a tool and became a collar, but it did. You wake up and the first thing your hand looks for is not water, it's not light, it's not someone, it's the smartphone. Before you feel your own body, you feel the notifications. Every message, every little red ball, every vibration is a pull on the leash, calling you back to the usual place, the position of someone who reacts, never someone who chooses. You say that it's not smartphone addiction, that you just like to be informed. But if it were that simple, you could stay away from it for a few hours without getting anxious. The system has turned the cell phone into an extension of your mind, and that sounds convenient, but it's dangerous. Because when you no longer have silence, no more emptiness, no more pause, you stop knowing yourself. You come to exist only because of the feed, the messages, the next video, the next meme. Cell phone addiction is not only technological, it is emotional. You measure your own value by the number of messages, likes, replies. When no one calls, it hurts. When someone takes their time, it hurts. When they leave you silent, you feel rejected. This is exactly where the control begins. The system knows that if you're constantly connected, distracted, and emotional, you'll be too tired to question anything, too tired to set boundaries, too tired to say no, too tired to get out of a toxic relationship. The digital collar tightens every time you think about turning off your cell phone, doing a digital detox, disconnecting. The mind screams that it will lose something, that it will be left behind, that it will be forgotten. The stoic posture begins when you admit that there is a leash without playing the victim. You are not a child, you are not weak, but you have been trained to obey the touch of the screen. The first step is to look at this addiction without excuses, without romanticizing. Every time you unlock your phone for no reason, someone is gaining from your distraction. You need to decide if you want to continue being pulled by the leash, or if you will begin, little by little, to let go of the hand that holds this device as if it were oxygen. 2. You think you're just tired from work, but the truth is that your mind is overwhelmed by a constant stream of stimuli that never ends. The society of tiredness no longer needs a physical whip. It uses the brightness of the screen. How many times do you open your cell phone to relax and leave there more anxious, more irritated, more distracted, with the feeling of lost time and a heavy head? This is not rest. This is mental exhaustion disguised as leisure. The era of tiredness lives on a mind that is always on alert, always ready to respond, comment, give an opinion. You spend the day in a state of overload, receiving bad news, useless gossip, random videos, political conflicts, disasters, fights, comparisons. It is an overload of information that robs you of your ability to focus, to reflect deeply, to inner silence. The result is a tired mind, but unable to switch off. When you lie down, your body wants to sleep, but your head is still spinning at the speed of your feed. This rhythm creates a type of undiagnosed disorder, a kind of digital ADHD, in which you can no longer concentrate on a long text, on a conversation without looking at your cell phone, on a moment of real presence. Everything seems boring, slow, unstimulating. The brain has been trained to seek easy dopamine, quick rewards, short videos, ready-made sentences. But along with this dopamine addiction comes the price: constant anxiety, difficulty relaxing, and chronic tiredness that never goes away. Stoicism won't tell you to throw your phone in the trash, but it will remind you of one simple thing: you're not obligated to react to everything. You are not obliged to consume everything. You are not required to be available all the time. A strong mind is built on choices, not impulses. Reducing notifications, choosing specific times to use the cell phone, creating sacred moments without a screen, all this is discipline, not frills. When you start protecting your own mind from overstimuli, your whole body responds. Less anxiety, more clarity, less confusion, more presence. The world is still noisy, but inside you a place of calm begins to be born that does not depend on any lit screen. 3. You think you're using the apps, but it's the other way around. Each time you swipe your finger, the algorithm studies you. It measures the time you spend on each video, on each photo, on each comment. He learns what holds his attention, what causes indignation, what arouses desire, envy, curiosity. From there, he begins to build a distorted mirror of your mind to keep you trapped. This is not neutral technology, it is surveillance capitalism. It is attention economy. You are not the customer, you are the product. Apps weren't created for you to be happy, they were created for you to stay inside them for as long as possible. Addictive app design is no accident, it's design. Colors, sounds, notifications, infinite scrolling, everything is designed to prevent you from leaving. When you swear you're going to hang up after this video, and without realizing it, stay another half hour, that's not a lack of character, it's psychological engineering. There is behavior manipulation programmed into the interface. This invisible control is not limited to what you watch, it also influences what you feel, what you buy, what you believe, how you position yourself. The algorithm knows that it is easier to hold your attention with content that provokes fear, anger, comparison, gossip. Thus, you are kept in an unstable emotional state, perfect for consuming more, discussing more, being distracted more. Meanwhile, your real life is put on hold, important conversations are postponed, projects that require discipline are pushed to later. The Stoic stance here is to recognize that this game exists and not to enter like cattle. Instead of being led by the algorithm, you start treating it with cold suspicion. Ask yourself, why are you showing me this? What does someone gain who makes me angry, afraid, envious? You turn passive curiosity into active awareness. Set limits, choose what you follow, silence what destroys you, block what pulls you down. Machiavelli would teach that whoever controls the flow of information controls the people. Today, those who control the feed control their attention, and those who control their attention control their lives. A Stoic does not indulge in this for free. He observes, analyzes, cuts. You don't have to be a slave to an algorithm you've never known that doesn't know your name but knows how to trap you. When you start choosing what goes into your mind, the algorithm loses power. 4. Empty connected. You are surrounded by people, but you feel alone. There are groups, chats, notifications all day long, but when the screen goes off, there is that heavy silence, a void that you try to fill with more content, more videos, more shallow conversations. This is digital loneliness. You are always connected, but rarely in real contact. You send audios, stickers, reactions, but how many deep conversations have you had in the last few days without looking at your cell phone? Social networks have created a showcase of perfect lives that destroy your self-esteem little by little. You compare your backstage with the stage of others. While struggling with bills, emotional problems, tiredness, she looks at travel photos, perfect bodies, happy relationships, impeccable careers. Comparing life to social networks is a silent torture that convinces you that you are behind, broken, insufficient. This feeds an existential void that grows even as you gain more followers, more likes, more views. The problem is that you try to numb that void with the same networks that helped create it. The more you feel bad, the more time you spend scrolling through the feed. The more insecure, the more you post, the more you observe the reaction of others. You surrender your self-image to the opinion of others, as if external validation were a permanent remedy. But it never is. You can get 100 compliments, but all it takes is one criticism to bring you down the whole day. This is not connection. This is emotional dependence in digital form. The stoic look is cruel and liberating at the same time. It shows you that no like will solve the feeling of not feeling enough. The solution is not to increase the volume of stimuli, it is to reduce. Instead of chasing approval, you start building self-respect away from screens, in real actions, in small promises you keep to yourself. Machiavelli would speak of power, and here power is simple. Those who do not depend on the gaze of others are dangerous, because they are not manipulable. You don't need to disappear from the internet, but you need to stop getting lost in it. Choose where it's really worth being, who it's worth talking to, what kind of content it's worth putting in every day. Emptiness is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that something inside you is asking for depth, not distraction. When you stop filling that hole with digital dopamine, there is room for tougher questions. Who am I without this online character? What do I really want? Who really deserves my presence? 5. You have been trained to think that being always available is a sign of kindness, dedication, responsibility. Responding quickly, being online all the time, solving everything on your cell phone seems efficient, but it has a silent cost. You abandon yourself to serve the whole world. Work invades your rest time. Messages invade your intimacy. Notifications cross your moments of silence. You live in readiness, as if you were an employee of the world 24 hours a day. The performance society loves it. The more you demand productivity, presence, speed, the easier it is to suck your energy to the limit. You feel guilty if you don't respond, if you don't see, if you don't participate. They are afraid of being left out, that FOMO, fear of losing something important, an opportunity, information. The result is a cycle in which you never really rest. The body is still, but the mind is always in a position of alert. This is fertile ground for burnout by technology, for chronic fatigue disguised as modern life. In relationships, this pattern is even more cruel. When you are always available, always responding on time, always chasing, you teach the other not to value your presence. The person knows that if they ignore you now, you will insist later. If I leave you in sight, you come back. If it disappears for a few days, you are there waiting. Always being available is the fastest way to lose respect. Those who do not respect themselves become an option, never a priority. The stoic mentality enters like a cold knife into this pattern. You are not required to be accessible all the time. You can determine times when your cell phone is far away, when messages wait, when work doesn't cross your door. This is not laziness, it is protection. It's you making it clear, first to yourself, then to the world, that your life doesn't revolve around notifications. If Machiavelli looked at this dynamic, he would say something simple: who is always accessible is always vulnerable. Those who are always reacting are never in charge. Putting limits on cell phone use, especially in relation to work and emotional relationships, is a way of saying, my peace is not for sale. You won't miss opportunities, you'll lose chains. Those who desperately need to be found all the time are already trapped. Those who learn to disconnect begin to become the owner of their own emotional agenda. 6. You have learned to answer everything, to justify everything, to explain every delay, every disappearance, every change. The cell phone has become a direct line to her anxiety. When someone takes a long time to respond, you feel that tightness in your chest. When someone teases you, you feel the immediate urge to fight back. When he receives an aggressive message, he runs to defend himself. That impulse to react fast is exactly what keeps you stuck. You become predictable, emotionally accessible, easy to manipulate. The power of silence begins when you understand that not responding is also an answer. Calculated silence is not a childish game. It is an emotional strategy. Instead of reacting on the spot, you observe. Question: does this conversation deserve my energy? Does this provocation deserve an answer? Does this person really respect my boundaries? Or is he used to pushing until I give in? Silence takes the other out of control, interrupts the cycle of manipulation, breaks the pattern of addiction to constant messages. In practice, this means stopping explaining yourself for everything, accepting that you don't owe absolute availability to anyone. It's not about ignoring everyone, it's about choosing where your presence is gold and where it's being wasted. Instead of responding impulsively, you start responding strategically, at the right time, in the right way, when you are not overwhelmed by anger or neediness. This is conscious emotional coldness. You feel it, but you don't kneel to the emotion of the moment. The society of tiredness wants you to be reactive, tired, and involved in useless fights. So you don't have the energy to rebuild yourself, to grow, to strengthen yourself. Strategic silence is an act of emotional economy. You stop wasting energy on what leads nowhere. Instead of long discussions by message, you choose the peace of not entering the game. Instead of chasing someone who clearly doesn't value you, you allow silence to do the work of showing distances. In the Stoic view, self-control is power. When you master the impulse to respond on time, you begin to have room to act wisely, not on impulse. Machiavelli would say that those who control their own reaction are already halfway ahead in any power game. Your silence, used in the right way, is not weakness. It is an invisible sword. It cuts wrong expectations, weakens narcissists, confuses manipulators, and sends a clear message: you don't have unlimited access to my mind. 7. To disappear is not to run away when you know why you are disappearing. There is a huge difference between disappearing due to immaturity and disappearing due to strategy. Strategic absence is not cheap revenge. It is protection. When someone treats you as an option, answers you when they want, uses you when they need you, and discards you when it's no longer convenient, insisting is humiliating yourself. The best answer is not a text. It is a removed presence. You don't beg for respect, you cut off access. The smartphone facilitates the illusion that you are always there, accessible at any time. The person knows that. With a message, he pulls you back. That's exactly what you need to break down. When you disappear with elegance, without scandal, without drama, without exposure, you leave the game quietly. It's not blocking out of anger, it's disconnecting from the role of puppet. This goes for love relationships, friendships, even work environments that suck you emotionally unfairly. Strategic absence is to stop feeding conversations that never change, relationships that always put you in the same place of disrespect, dynamics that drain your energy and self-esteem. You don't need to warn, you don't need to make a speech, you don't need to justify, you just reduce contact, decrease response, deprioritize. Occupy your life with things that build you, until that toxic bond is no longer the center of your existence. This movement requires coldness, because neediness will scream, the mind will try to pull you back, the fear of losing will try to sabotage you. But here comes stoicism. You choose what is right, not what is comfortable. The question changes. It's no longer, what if I lose this person? It's, what if I keep losing myself trying to hold on to this person? Absence becomes an affirmation of self-love, not an escape from reality. From a Machiavellian point of view, those who retire at the right time create an impact. When you disappear just when they expect you to keep insisting, the tables turn. The other person begins to feel the weight of his absence, the value of his presence. What was once banal is now perceived as rare. If there is a return, it will be on another level. If there isn't, you've already freed yourself from the cycle of humiliation. Strategic absence is reminding yourself that your presence is too expensive to be thrown into any conversation, any relationship, on any screen. 8. Coldness that protects. Coldness is not a lack of feeling. It is a choice not to kneel for them. Conscious emotional coldness is the ability to feel everything, but not let anything blindly command your actions. Instead of reacting with despair when someone ignores you, you observe. Instead of begging for attention, you analyze it. Instead of trying to prove your worth, you remember, those who can't see don't deserve the privilege of staying. The smartphone amplifies emotions. An unanswered scene turns into rejection. A delay turns into abandonment. A like on another person turns into betrayal. If you don't have coolness, you become a slave to this exaggerated reading. Narcissists and manipulators take advantage of this. They know that a late response, a prolonged silence, a break in the pattern, all this throws you off balance. The more emotionally unstable you get, the easier it is to control you, pull you back, keep you stuck. The coldness that protects is not total indifference, it is a filter. You stop reacting like a needy child and start acting like an adult who respects himself. If someone disappears for no reason, you don't make a scandal, you take note. If someone uses you as a backup plan, you don't beg for space, you move away. If someone tries to provoke you by message, you don't enter the arena, you silence you. This is where Stoic philosophy meets strategic logic. You stop offering your tray weakness. Coldness also means not letting yourself be controlled by your own dopamine addiction. You don't need to answer everything right away. You don't need to comment on every post. You don't need to show your whole life to prove that you're fine. The less you expose your emotions, the less easy it is for the world to manipulate you. You start talking less about plans and more about results, less about pain and more about limits. Machiavelli would say that a leader has to know how to separate heart and decision. In your emotional life, it is no different. Feeling is not a problem. Being blindly guided by what you feel is. The coldness that protects you is the shield you put between your emotion and your action. You don't stop loving, but you stop accepting crumbs. He doesn't stop caring, but he stops crawling. And those who notice this change quickly understand. The one who was once easily manipulated by the smartphone, by messages, by psychological games, is now someone who is not to be trifled with. 9. Shielded focus. Focus is the most valuable resource you have, and the system knows it. That's why everything is done to fragment it, break it into pieces, spread it among thousands of notifications, videos, messages, and micro-tasks. When your focus is pulverized, you feel busy all the time, but you don't really make progress on anything. He lives putting out fires, answering everyone, consuming content. But when he looks at his own life, he realizes that he is almost in the same place. Shielding the focus is an act of rebellion against the distraction society. It means deciding that your mind will no longer be an open ground for any stimulus to enter. You create clear rules, times to use the cell phone, times when it is away from the body, silent modes in periods of deep work. This is not an exaggeration, it is mental hygiene. If you don't control when and how you use your smartphone, it controls you. An armored focus also requires the courage to say no. Not for useless conversations, not for groups that only suck your energy, not for the habit of opening your cell phone every time you feel bored. Instead of living on autopilot, you start to break that pattern. When you feel like reaching for your cell phone for no reason, you take a deep breath and ask, do I really need this right now, or is it just addiction? This second of consciousness already creates a fissure in the cycle. Stoicism has always talked about directing attention to what is under its control. The rest is noise. Every minute you give yourself to the infinite scroll, you are taking time away from something that could strengthen your mind, your body, your spirituality, your work, your real relationships. Armored focus is to choose. Read a book instead of getting lost in random videos. Do a workout instead of scrolling. Plan the week instead of drowning in news. Over time, this discipline begins to pay off. The mind becomes less anxious, ideas are organized, projects get off the ground, self-esteem improves. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of fulfilling what you decide. This is the true antidote to the feeling of living on automatic. You don't have to be perfect, you need to be consistent. Each choice to protect focus is one more step towards getting out of the condition of a digital puppet and closer to a life in which your attention works for you, not against you. 10. New rule of Vida. Know the end of the day, it's not just about cell phones, but the kind of life you want to build. The smartphone is just the most visible instrument of a system that wants you tired, distracted, emotionally vulnerable, and easily manipulated. If you continue to live in the logic of reacting to everything, responding to everything, consuming everything, you will continue to be part of a game that was never designed for your well-being. Change starts when you take on a new rule of life. I use technology. It doesn't use me. This new rule goes through everything you've seen so far. Recognize the digital leash. Take care of the exhausted mind. See the algorithm as a player, not as a friend. Understand the connected emptiness. Refuse the prison of always being available. Practice calculated silence. Adopt strategic absence. Choose the coldness that protects and shields one's own focus. It's not a one-day change. It's a new posture that you affirm day after day. Stoic philosophy invites you to live as someone who does not surrender to the chaos of the world, but decides who you want to be within it. You don't control the advancement of technology. You don't control the behavior of others. You don't control the system, but you control how you react to all of this. It can continue to be carried away by the flow, or it can, from now on, start paddling in the opposite direction. Machiavelli would remind you that those who don't understand the game are always used by it. So you need to decide it's going to be played or it's going to learn how to play. This new rule of life does not mean isolating yourself, becoming a hermit, hating technology. It means using the cell phone as a construction tool, not as an escape. Choose content that feeds, not makes you sick. Cultivate relationships that add, not drain. Use silence, absence, and coldness, not as forms of revenge, but as protection of your dignity. Instead of asking for respect, you start acting like someone who already respects yourself. In the end, the question comes back to you. Who is in charge of your story? The system, the algorithm, the addiction, or your consciousness? If you choose conscience, it will hurt at first, because breaking addictions always hurts. But little by little, as the world sinks into distraction and fatigue, you walk in another direction with more focus, more peace, and more power over yourself. And it is at this moment that the society of tiredness loses the only thing that really matters: control over your mind.